Okay, hi Melissa, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, you are a very famous author, New York Times best-selling author. You've got a book series called Blue Bloods. The eighth book in this series is now out. Is that correct?
Yes,
Uh,
number eight.
Number eight. Okay. When did you start number one?
2003. So
So,
I guess almost 20 years ago, I started
yeah.
writing Bloods.
And this is about vampires that came over on the Mayflower. Is that the idea?
Yes, it's about teenage kids in New York City who discover that they're part of an ancient line of vampires who came to America on the Mayflower. Hence, Blue Bloods.
Now, are all the kids vampires?
Most of them are. There's one human kid who's kind of like the assistant, the vampire's assistant.
All right. Is this anything like Twilight?
I wrote my book and turned it in, and then I went to the bookstore and I saw Twilight, and I thought, oh my goodness, somebody else had the same idea to write about vampires. And so I was worried that nobody would read my books because her book came out a year before mine. But it turned out because Twilight was so popular that everybody wanted more vampires. So my books did well, and so did a lot of other vampire books for teenagers that were coming out at that time. Vampire Diaries was one, Vampire Academy, and yeah, Blue Bloods. So we were
Okay.
all part of kind of the early aughts vampire wave.
Well, you know what? I heard something similar like that with a writer who came on during the first Jurassic Park. And he wrote something in reference to dinosaurs. They picked it up. And then after that, all they wanted from him was dinosaurs. And that really wasn't what he wanted to write, but it was good money for him. So he continued to write dinosaur books. So I think once there gets to be like a craze about something, then everything will sell in that because it's so popular with people, yeah?
Yeah, no, you can definitely see that trend, especially in the vampire world, in the teen vampire publishing world. Once everybody gets into something, they just want more and more, which is really fun.
Fuel the machine, exactly. Let me ask you something about vampires. Did you do any research? Did you go back and study Bram Stoker and some of the old vampire movies, or did you do any research on vampires, or did you just kind of create your own version of a vampire?
I was pretty familiar with the traditional vampire mythology, and I'd read Dracula as a teenager too. I wanted to create a new mythology, so I made up something, but it was from research as well. I was a English literature major, and I loved Paradise Lost by Milton. And I thought, well, what if my vampires were fallen angels? And they go all the way back to Lucifer, who was kicked out of heaven. So I did a lot of research on, kind of angel myth and, Christian mythology. So, and that I was really familiar with. I was raised Catholic, so I know a lot of those stories.
You've written some other books, and in fact, I went on your website. You had some books that were Hallmark TV.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I did.
tell me a little about those as well.
Yeah, sure. I started with Hallmark. Rachel Boston, who was an actress on Witches of East End, which was a TV show based on my novels, asked me if I wanted to do something with her for Hallmark, and we wanted to do an angel series. So we did Christmas in Angel Falls, and Rachel played an angel, which was really fun. And after that, my relationship with Hallmark grew, and they made Pride, Prejudice, and Mistletoe, which was, my kind of holiday take on Pride and Prejudice, except Mr. Darcy is now Darcy, a woman, a successful career woman who goes back to her hometown and meets up with her former, kind of nemesis, former flame, Luke, instead of Lizzie. And they made that into a movie as well. And then we got to do Angel Falls 2, A Novel Holiday, where the protagonist is an editor and working with a writer who's very hard to edit. But of course, they fall in love. And then we did a couple more. We did Sense, Sensibility, and Snowman, which was another take on Jane Austen at Christmas with Hallmark.
So all of these are sort of romantic comedies, or yeah?
Yes, yes.
I haven't watched Hallmark in years. It's still on. What did it move online now? Is it streaming?
Yeah, there's a streaming network for Hallmark, but yeah, it lives on the cable channel as well. Definitely.
Oh, so it's still cable. Okay, all right. Because I got rid of cable probably 10 years ago. I don't know who, if anybody still has cable TV. Yeah, but I guess so.
Yeah, they definitely have their own app, and they definitely have a streaming network. So yeah, you can definitely buy that. I know I got rid of streaming, of cable a while back too. But on Hulu, I have all the cable channels. So
I wanted to also ask you about Melissa Dela Cruz Studio at Disney Publishing. Now that sounds very impressive. Tell me about that.
yes, I'm partnering with the Walt Disney Company, and I'm creating a new intellectual property for them, starting with books and then hoping to become film or TV shows or video games or anything else that can live under the Disney media umbrella. And it's been going well. We're launching our first book this fall. It's called Anne of Greenville by Mariko Tamaki, and it's a retelling of Anne of Green Gables in the contemporary world. So I'm basically the producer. I produce all the books that hopefully will become TV shows and movies and video games and amusement park rides.
Is there going to be a Melissa Dela Cruz ride at Disneyland?
I don't know if it'll be named after me, but if any of the books that become TV shows becomes an amusement park ride, maybe. Maybe it'll have a little trademark at the bottom.
Okay, explain that process just a little, because I'm a little confused on that. You're going to produce the book into a film or into a TV show?
I come up with ideas, and then we find writers to I guess, help us flesh them out. And then Disney takes what we've made and turns it into hopefully a film or TV or anything else.
Oh, I see. Okay. Wow, what a great job. That is super.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I get to think up a lot of new ideas and work with Disney and find out what they're looking for, and I get to work with a lot of young and really talented young people. So it's a win-win all around.
It sounds like it. It sounds like one of those kind of dream jobs for people. That's super. Okay, let's talk a little bit about you. I know I'm working backwards here, but that's what keeps the show enlightening and people on their toes, I hope. So tell us a little bit about your backstory.
So I immigrated to America when I was about 12 years old, and I've always wanted to be a writer since I was 8 years old. And I graduated from college and submitted my first novel to a bunch of agents and editors. And I wasn't able to sell it, but an editor, Simon Schuster, said that I should write for magazines and newspapers and learn how to write professionally and kind of make a name for myself in New York, and then come out with, a book to try to sell. So I did that for about 5 years. I was a journalist, and I wrote for a lot of major publications and newspapers. And then I sold my first novel at 27 and haven't looked back since then.
It's the one I've heard is that the entertainment industry, which I would consider writers to be part of, certainly, it moves very, very slowly until it doesn't. It can take years and years to even get one thing, but once you get that one thing, it seems to take off like a rocket, or it can. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I've definitely seen people who've done the one thing and then never did anything else. I really think it depends. I think everybody's story is different. But I do feel a lot of satisfaction in having been in this industry for, 25 years now. And it's a hard one to break into, and it's even harder to stay in. But yeah.
Do you have a particular genre that you like, or do you work in various genres, it seems like, yeah?
Yeah, I started out in the grown-up world. I wrote romantic comedy books, kind of adult rom-coms, and then my editor asked me if I wanted to try my hand at young adult to write for a teen audience. She thought I had the right voice for it. And then from there, another editor asked me if I wanted to write something darker, and that's where Blue Bloods came in, the vampire world. So I've been in young adult for a very long time, but I do also write grown-up books. I wrote a thriller called The Birthday Girl a couple of years ago, and Witches of East End, which became a TV show. That was a grown-up fantasy novel. That was not young adult. So, and now I write for middle grade audiences, which is, younger kids, start age, 7 up. And now I write picture books. I have my first picture book coming out next month also. So now I'm writing for the babies.
Oh, well, wonderful. I was going to ask you about Blue Bloods. What age group? Is this a young adult? Is that the directed
Yes.
age group? Yeah.
Yep, 12 and up. It's
12
a
and
young
up.
adult
Okay.
series. Yep.
There's a funny question on your bio here that I'll just ask you. So I don't know who wrote your bio, but it says, "Are you afraid of vampires?"
When I was a teenager and reading Stephen King, Salem's Lot, and Anne Rice's The Chronicles of the Vampires, I was very scared of vampires. I thought that there was a possibility that they might be real. And when I wrote the first Blue Bloods book, my editor put, she's not a vampire, but she knows people who are. And I cannot begin to tell you how many emails I get from kids asking about the vampires and where are they, and have I met these real vampires. So I'm a grown up now, and I'm not afraid of vampires. I know they're only in my imagination.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. I think on that we're going to wind this down, Melissa. Thank you so much for coming on. And
thank you so much for having me.
Congratulations on all your success, and I hope you continue on the success. Do you have a website you want to give out?
Yes, I am at melissa-delacruz.com.
Okay, great. And there's links there to everything, your books and your Hallmark TV stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah? Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, nice meeting you, and best of luck with everything you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure.